Hello and welcome to the live show for a Tuesday from the world's leading DJ school, Digital DJ Tips. And today we're talking about a new feature that's been added to Serato DJ in its current beta 3.0 version. So Serato DJ Pro 3.0 and Serato DJ Lite 3.0. So both versions, both the stripped back free version of Serato and the full fat version have had the new feature added. And that new feature, if you've not been on the internet for the last 24 hours, is Serato's take on stems. And it's true to say the web's gone a bit mad about it. People are saying, no need to use EQs anymore. This is the best thing ever. This is going to change DJing forever. And you know what? Even our very own tutor, DJ Jazzy Jeff, has got quite enthusiastic about this. And there's a reason for that. Because Serato is one of the biggest DJ, if not the biggest DJ platform in the world. And it's now got one of the standout features of the last 2 years. So what is stems? Where did it start? Why has Serato just added it? What does it do? What does it sound like? Do you need it? We're going to cover all of that in this show with an honest look at Serato stems, with the hype stripped back. And then more importantly, at the end of this show, we have a live Q&A with you, our audience. So if you're new to this, what we do every week at this time, 3 p.m. London, 3 p.m. London and 10 a.m. Eastern, is go live, basically from our studios here. We down our tools, we stop teaching our students and we go live and share whatever's going on in the world of DJing. And the biggest and most fun part of all of this is the fact that we get to talk to you about it. And so if you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, which is the preferred platform, and the reason for that is basically your questions stay underneath the video, even on the recording, so we can help you after we've stopped being live. But anyway, YouTube or Facebook, just ask away. They all come through to my screen here. And literally live, we will answer your queries and questions about this new feature. But also, do help each other out in the comments. That always happens as well. I always watch you guys and girls helping each other out. We're one of the most loving communities you could imagine, one of the most helpful, humble and fun, supportive places to talk DJing. So do help each other out, chat to each other. Right, Serato Stems. What is it? Serato Stems is a way of separating the various parts of a song live as you're DJing from each other and either soloing them or muting them. And the best way to show this to you is simply to show it to you. So I have a song loaded on this deck here, which you can't hear, which is interesting because I could hear that in rehearsals. It's just because my headphones aren't on. Right, here we go. Let's do that again. You could hear that, which is cool. Right, so I have a song loaded on this deck here. Now, I'm going to turn that up a little bit. That sounds perfectly normal, right? That's because I'm just playing it. But Serato Stems lets you do something which again is not new, but it's now in Serato, a little bit clever. Let's go back to that beginning of that song. And this time, I'm going to cut out various parts of the song. Let's get rid of the vocals. Back again. How about the drums? How about both of them? How about everything but the vocals? What I'm doing here is effectively cutting the track up in real time. And this is something that's only become possible recently with more powerful computers. We'll talk about the power you need to do this in a little while, which gives you a real advantage over creative DJs that don't have it, because you can have an instant a cappella. You can have an instant drum track. Just take the drums out of a track if you like them. And on the other deck, get an a cappella from that deck. And if you've got a 4-deck controller, you can take elements from 4 songs and mix them up. You can treat those decks like normal, you can loop and do all that clever stuff, but at the same time, choose which elements. And the 4 elements here are drums, bass, as in the bass line, melody and vocals. They're the 4 elements you get to play with, all in real time. So there's no preparing beforehand. There's no, like in previous incarnations of stems features, you've had to get special files. None of that. You can literally load up and do it with certain caveats, which we'll cover. So this is pretty cool. So to be clear, this isn't new to DJing. This has been in DJ software for a couple of years now. Algorithms DJ Pro AI on Mac, iOS. You can see you can do this on your phone. You can literally get a piece of software on your phone that does exactly what I've just been showing you here, which is Algorithms DJ Pro AI. And also, Virtual DJ has it. And they both have a pretty decent implementation of it. They both got various features that are a little bit different, and the way it works is a bit different, but basically you're getting the same kind of thing. So really in this review, I want to cover what Serato's done, how it works, show you how it all works, show you the setup, talk to you about how you can get it, and what's different about the way Serato has done it. So we need to remember that Serato is a big piece of software. For all their amazing features, Virtual DJ and Algorithms DJ Pro AI added up don't come to anywhere near the market share that Serato has. So when Serato does something like this, kind of Apple style, it has to make sure it does it right. And so we'll talk about that as well. And as a spoiler, they've done it pretty well. There's not much about it that we can criticize. Certainly the fact that this is a beta version means that there's going to be stuff that gets ironed out before it goes fully live, which I think one of the big things I'm going to point out, I think they probably will have fixed by then. Right, before we talk about what you think about it and answer your questions, I'd want to first show you a little bit more about how it works. So the first thing you need to know about this is that you've got to go and get it, because this isn't something that is currently available in Serato, the one you've got already. It's not in it. So how do you get Serato? Well, you need to go to get the beta version from Serato's website, and you need to be signed up and all that. I'll show you how to do that now. So if you to head to digitaldjtips.com and go to the Serato news piece, we've put a link in there if you don't have that link, but if not, go to Serato's email that they sent you if you're already a Serato user and you're already on their database to get on the beta. But we've put the link in there for you as well, so anyone can try this. Click on there and it'll take you through to Serato's own news piece, and there's our very own Jazzy Jeff at the top there. He talks about that in the video here. He talks about how he loves this. In fact, they've quoted him. Well, that's what happens when you're one of the best DJs in the world, I suppose. You get quoted when clever, cool stuff happens. But anyway, Jazzy Jeff has given his thoughts there on this. But the most important thing you want is that public beta link. Click on that public beta link and it will get you to agree to a couple of things, including privacy. So I'm not going to click on it because it will take you through to the Serato public beta forum, which is private. It's only for public beta users. But let me just let you know that forum is a wonderful place because it's full of people like you, like me, chatting about this new software, reporting bugs, sharing tips and tricks. It's a great little resource to have. So once you've signed up, do make sure that you use the forum. It's totally free to grab this software. And if you're a Serato DJ Pro user, well, what I mean by that is if you're already a Serato DJ Pro user, this feature is free. They're not charging you for it like they do for their pitch and time and other add-ons. It's core functionality. And Serato DJ Lite, it's also free, but with Serato DJ Lite, you only get a cappella and instrumental. You don't get the 4 things I've been showing you on here. Once you've got the software and you've launched it, it will give you a skull and crossbones and say, do not use this in a live scenario. But once it said that, you'll be on to a version of Serato that looks very normal. In fact, you'll have to look hard to find the differences. Let's look at those differences now and I'll show you how it gets set up. So inside the software, the first thing you're going to want to do is head up to the settings and then go down to the place where you see this bit here. It says, it's probably a bit small on your screen if you're watching on a phone or something, but it says replace pad mode with stems. So this is how it works. You click on here and you choose a pad mode out of the couple they offer you. Loop, roll and sampler are the only 2 I've found. And you say, no, I don't want to use that loop, roll and sampler anymore. Instead, I want to use stems on that setting. And then when you select that pad setting on your controller, it will then be the stems settings I'm about to talk through with you. You also have here an analyze stems tick box. Now this is important. It's important you understand what this does. I'm going to talk you through that now. The analyze stems box is telling Serato what to do when you want to play a track with stems enabled. Because if you've got a powerful computer, like I've got a powerful laptop here, it's an M1 laptop, it will only take a few seconds to analyze for stems when you load a new track. But if you haven't, then it's going to jam your system up. So what you can do is drag your stems files to a separate folder which they've added called the stems folder on the left hand side of the software. The stems folder is this one here, so it says stems. So you can drag your tracks to here and it will analyze them ahead of time, and that means that it won't take all that processor power when you want to DJ with those tracks. The downside of that is that those tracks are going to take a lot of space on your hard drive, because it's effectively splitting the stems up and then saving them as 4 audio files that you can't get to other than in the software. But that means that, you know, now instead of having one version of a song, you've effectively got the space needed for 5. So quite quickly a hard drive will fill up. Older laptops tend to have smaller hard drives and they're slower. So you've got to make a compromise here, and you can delete them out of that folder as well. I think, by the way, this is one of the big things that Serato has done well here, because these features need powerful laptops to work. And a lot of Serato users, God bless you, haven't got new laptops and haven't got big hard drives. So in this instance, you can just take a set that you want to use with stems, drag it into the stems folder, and then delete it afterwards. So you're not jogging up your hard drive with loads of stems, but at the same time, you're not telling your laptop to work really hard in the middle of a performance to use this feature. That's one of the really thoughtful things Serato has done that you don't get in either of the other implementations in DJ software, Virtual DJ and Algorithms DJ Pro AI. Okay, so once we've done that, let's look at the controls that you get to make stems easier to use. So back to the software. At the top of the screen here, we have our usual cue points and so on, whatever you've got selected, but there's a new one for stems, which has got, now it's got vocal, melody, bass and drums. So this is good, because what this means is you can turn this on and off even if your controller doesn't work with it. And that's actually quite good, because not all controllers currently work with this. So let's zoom in on that. It looks like this. And so you can turn on and off, and by pressing the pads, these 8 pads here will turn off and on to show you that you've done that, to select the vocal, melody, bass and drums. But look at the 4 below. I'm going to talk to you about these now, and then we're going to have a look at them in a demo. So the first one of the lower pads below the word vocal is a vocal echo. The one below melody and bass are both instrumentals. One's an echo and one's a breaker, and the one below drums is a drums echo. So what are these? How do these work? Are these something that makes this a better implementation than other people's? Well, they're certainly fun, and they're certainly something I want to show you. So going back to our controller and going back to the pads, I'm going to go back to a part of the song where I know we've got some vocals, so we've got some things to play with. And back to my mode where I've got these. I can turn these off and on at the bottom of your screen here. So this is now currently playing everything. But if I press the button underneath the vocal button, if you remember, that was a vocal echo. So let's listen to what that does. It echoes out the vocal. Now that is pretty cool. You could get an instant dub of a song, and a dub mix tends to be a stripped back mix where maybe the vocals are echoed out and all that kind of thing, simply by turning off the music, maybe leaving the bass line in, but turning off the melody, which I've done there, leaving the drums and bass and the vocals, and then just chopping the vocals up by echoing them out like this. Now the other features we have here, and I keep going back to that vocal section there so I can show you. The other features we have here, we've got one that does the same thing with the drums. So you can turn this stuff on and off, right? You can be playing the track, turn the drums off. But you could echo the drums out using this one here. I'm just going to turn the music up a little bit just so you can hear it a little bit better. So this is a nice way of just making those drums drop in and out with a bit more fun, really. So let's go back to that point and do it again. You hear the drums echoing out? Now these two here will cut the music but leave the vocals playing. Now this is pretty cool because this allows you to have some fun with an a cappella and the music that's already in the track. So you get two options here, an echo out and a like a break that'll just basically, it's as if you press stop on a turntable. So let's do that again then from that beginning of that vocal part. Here that's echoing out. And there it's a break. Now what I want you to do is take a little look at the screen. I've stopped it here to show you, but if you look at the screen there, now I've turned all of them back on now, and I look at the waveform. The waveform is showing you the whole of the track. Now, if I turn them all off, it's gone grey. If you use Serato Studio, by the way, you'll be used to this, you'll have seen this before. Now, if I put on the vocal, now you can see the parts of the track. So you've got only the vocal playing here. You can see the parts of the track where the vocal are. And that's cool because it means you can see they're coming up when you're playing about with your stems in this way. But if I was to turn the vocal off and put something else on, so now we've got those bits of music, and you can see the bits of music. Here, we've got just the drums playing. Now this is a part where there's no drums, so let's go to a part where there is drums. You can see the drums because that's all we've got turned on. It's very quiet, that, isn't it? I don't know why it's gone very quiet, but I'll try and turn it up a little bit for you on my settings here. That's pretty good, because one of the problems with this kind of setup is that, look, Mojack's covered this in his video talking about this, which is, by the way, another no hype video. Take a look at that one if you want to just follow this up. One of the problems is that you don't know what's going to happen when you press these buttons unless you've practiced. You don't know what's going to happen. Like with bass and mid and treble, you know, it doesn't matter what the song's doing, you know what's going to happen when you turn those. But with this, you can't be sure. Well, they're giving you a visual representation on the screen there of what it's going to look like, or what it's going to sound like. So you can at least see whether you've turned off lots of the stuff or bits of the stuff or whatever. So look, this is a good implementation of this. There are a few things I want to point out to you that we noticed, and I think you should know about this, especially if you're looking at this thinking, I might want to switch to Serato now. This looks really cool. The first thing is they don't sound perfect. Now I've tried to play you in there, and I apologize if that was a little bit quiet, but I've tried to play those to you there so you can have a listen. Again, go listen to Mojack's. He does a very good description, a very good run through and description of how it sounds with various tracks on his video for Beat Source, if you want more of a demo of that. The sound is good, but it's not perfect. You still hear artifacts, you still hear it's kind of an underwatery sound sometimes. You know, a lot of today's music is very produced and very compressed, and the vocals are low in the mix and there's stuff all around them. It does a good job, which you'd expect from Serato, because Pitch and Time, the time stretching software, music manipulation software, was the product they used, that they made their name with. So they're good at this stuff. They do say that they've made this whole algorithm that's doing this on their own. They're not using one that other people are using, but it's not perfect. Another thing we noticed is that well, I'm using a good computer here, my computer at home is not so good, the analysis can be very slow, so you've got to decide whether to analyze ahead of time, etc. But just bear in mind that it's not fast to analyze tracks necessarily if you've got a big pile of them. The things that we also discovered are that you can use it with a streaming service, so all your streaming tracks will work with it. That's pretty cool. And apparently, we haven't tested this, but it also works with not only Serato Video, but also Mix Emergency, the other video platform that works with Serato, which is really cool. Now, when it comes to the pads and using these to control it, there's something here I wasn't too keen on, and that is quite simply that they only give you two options for replacing. The options for replacing are you can replace your loop roll, or you can replace your sampler on the pads with the triggers for your stems. But I like both of those things, and I don't see why they couldn't have used other ones, you know, giving you a wider choice. So for instance, I'd basically turn off Slicer, personally, just to make sure I didn't touch it by mistake. That's how much I love Slicer, or not. You know, I'd like to have seen the ability to replace Slicer. When Serato demonstrated this software to us before it was live, they told us that that was one of the things you'd be able to replace, Slicer, but it appears like it's not. Now, what is good is that they do change in the software. So for instance, if you're in your software and you've got, like for instance, I'm using a little Numark controller here, I only get the sampler as an option because it doesn't have loop roll as an option to replace. So depending on what you are using as DJ gear, you get a different list here, but it's not big enough. I'd like to see that list made a bit bigger. Talking about DJ gear, that's another one of the things that is not quite right yet. It doesn't work with all DJ gear, including stuff that you'd expect it to work with. This is my favorite Serato controller by quite a long way, the Roland DJ 707M. Doesn't work with it. And so I'd like to see it expanded. Now, I've got a feeling that by the time it gets to the public release, they're going to have all the controllers working with it. But at the moment, it doesn't work with them all. It does work with DVS. Or rather, it does work with the Denon DS1, but it doesn't work with the old Rain boxes and the old Rain 60 mixes, so be aware of that as well. It is especially good on the modern Rain mixers and the S7 and the S11. Now, we liked it on the S11, especially, that's the one we've actually tested it on, because you could use the split pads to have cues and stems going at the same time. I've not tested that over there on the Rain, so watch this space on that, or get into that beta forum and ask. But it works great on the S11. There's the one we tested it on, the Pioneer DJ S11, so that was really cool. You can MIDI map the controls to something else. So if you've got some MIDI equipment and you've enabled MIDI mapping in Serato, you can map the controls to that and keep your pads as they are if you want, but you're starting to get technical there, really. So I guess the only other thing I wanted to point out as far as the way this all works is concerned, and by the way, if you have just joined us and you're wondering what we're talking about the very nice stems mode that's been added to Serato DJ Pro, Beta 3.0 and Serato DJ Lite 3.0. It's free. You can download it and have a play with it. Go to digitaldjtips.com and click on the link that we've given you to the beta site to grab a copy and play with. That's what we're talking about here. So the only other thing I wanted to point out is if you're using a piece of DJ gear that has got great 4-deck control, like for instance the DDJ 1000 SRT, then you can use all 4 decks. And so you could have drums, bass, melody and vocals from 4 different songs. You could use fuzzy key mixing, which is the way we teach key mixing, to get everything in key no matter what songs they are. And then you could be creating really big live mashups directly from there, which is again something that's really, really cool. So I want to end off before going to you to talk about this by talking about a couple of what I'd say are home truths around this. So people, again, I'm coming back to our no hype, honest appraisal of this stuff. People say, DJing is going to change forever. I'm never going to use my EQs anymore. This has changed the way I look at music and stuff. Look, in my experience, and I've been teaching this and doing this for a quarter of a century, new features don't change DJing. They just make it more fun. You know, DJing is about good music selection. It's about transfer of energy and enthusiasm from the DJ to the audience. It's about getting the programming right. And it's about really knowing more about the music and being more passionate about the music than anyone else in that room. Whether you're using 2 iPads or a phone with stems on it or anything in between the two, or old-fashioned vinyl or cassette players, honestly, it doesn't matter anywhere near as much as those things. So don't think DJing is going to change forever because of this. It isn't, it hasn't, and it won't. And also, this is not going to replace the what's the word I'm looking for? The apprenticeship you do as a DJ. You learn about DJing by playing music to people in real life, and you don't suddenly have a whole dance floor of people saying, wow, you know, that was really good tonight. I love the way they manipulated the stems in the music. It's not how it works. You know, these are things to sprinkle some stardust on top of a solid base of DJing. So just do bear in mind that that's true. And a little bit of a warning, if you're completely new to this, watching this and saying, oh, well, it's time for me to get into DJing now because obviously I'll be able to smash it because of this thing. You won't. But also there's some comfort there for DJs who think, oh no, does this mean I'm going to be made redundant? Of course you're not going to be made redundant, because if you've been working at this for that time and you've done that apprenticeship, you've got the important stuff. It's all in here. And that's far more important than all of this. Circling back to Serato Stems, they've done a good job. They sound as good as, if not a bit better than the competition. It's thoughtful, the way they've given you the options of analysing ahead of time or live. I like the way you can have a stems folder for ahead of time analysed stuff that you can delete. These controls here are actually a lot of fun because you can echo stuff out, you can break away the instrumentals, you can echo out the drums, you can make instant dub mixes with the vocals. They've done a really good job of that, and I think it just is there, and you find yourself playing with it. So Serato have done a decent implementation of this. I think the big news here is that it's Serato, and that means that this exciting feature, which has currently been fringe, Virtual DJ's got millions of downloads, but it's still fringe compared to Serato and Rekordbox as far as the number of users go, is going to change the way DJs think about how they manipulate their music. And I think we're going to see some interesting mixes and some interesting ideas, because it's just a bit more mainstream now. I like a lot of American hip-hop DJs who use Serato and always have. I can't wait to see what they come up with this, for instance. Looking at you as well, Jazzy Jeff. Let's see what Jeff can add to the fantastic training he's already done with us. And that's where I want to end this, before going to you, of course. So if you're watching the recording of this, we're just going to end off with some further reading, if you like, or further training, as it's going to be, because we're a school. But hang on anyway, because if you're watching live, we're going to chat to you in a minute. But if you're watching the recording, all the questions that are about to be asked by our audience, I'm sure are going to be relevant to you in some way or another. Right, so I wanted to show you a couple of ways that you can follow up with us as a school if this has inspired you. So on the Digital DJ Tips website, if you go to the top to DJ courses, there's 3 courses that can help you if you want to dive into this now that you've seen stems and you're inspired. If you're completely new to DJing, go to our Complete DJ course, because this will teach you literally with me looking over, or you're looking over my shoulder, everything that's in our book. This is the best-selling book on Amazon on how to DJ. It's got tens of thousands of readers. It's also an audio book. It's also a Kindle book. You can also have a copy if you come and join Digital DJ Tips. Go to the website, click join, it's free. But that's not the point. I teach the book, and the book is a unique way of learning to DJ. So if you're completely new to this, that's where to start. But more than that, if you are, you've watched the Serato video and you think, wow, Jazzy Jeff is saying it's going to change everything and I want to know what Jazzy Jeff does, we've got a course with Jazzy Jeff where he, on Serato, shows you all his secrets. So do take a look at that if you're already a DJ and you just want to learn how Jeff does this stuff. And finally, of course, our Serato Made Easy course. Now, we're good, but we're not that good. This isn't currently up to date with stems. However, the beauty of Serato Made Easy and all of our courses is that once you've bought it, you get all updates for free. So you buy this course today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and you'll get lifetime access to it forever. So that means that when we do add stems to it, etc., it's all going to be there, and it's going to be very soon. We'll get around to doing it very imminently. So we've got courses on Serato, on general DJing, and DJ Jazzy Jeff, who's one of the ambassadors for this, it seems, with Serato, also has a course with us. So lots of stuff you can learn from there. Right, that's what I wanted to say. Now I want to switch over to you guys and girls. I've got all of your questions and queries coming in live here, and until they're all answered, we are going to keep chatting about it. I'm going to jump past all the hundreds of just lovely hellos here. I love you all, people, but I want to stick with what we're talking about here. How do you activate, says Jacob, the lower pad effects when you've got controllers which don't use them because they've only got one row of performance pads? So you probably can't, but that said, this controller here, for instance, when you buy this controller and plug it in, these don't work like pads. These actually work with kind of transport, and that's a limitation of Serato DJ Lite, not a limitation of the controller. Because you see me using this controller with Serato DJ Pro. I'm only using it today because it was the nearest one when I set this up. And even though they've got different things printed on them, these did do the job, because as soon as you load Serato DJ Pro, it will work across all 8 pads. So someone on Facebook is saying this is the best thing Serato have done to make this free, because software is costing too much. And honestly, Serato, to me, have been guilty of that. If you buy the full version of Serato DJ Pro, which is not cheap, and you want to have decent key shifting, you haven't got it. You've got to buy it as an add-on, and I don't like that. But this is free, right? This is part of core software, so thumbs up to Serato for getting that one right. I'm going to give Serato, I said this is no hype, but I'm actually going to give Serato a thumbs up here, because someone has said, Chris, and Chris has obviously had reason to say this, if only they'd put this much effort into customer service. I think they do. I think they're a very nice company, and I think they're well-meaning people with their hearts in the right places. So maybe try again with them, Chris, and you might find that you get the result you want there. So Christian says it looks like Rekordbox is probably the last software to implement that feature. Actually, Traktor hasn't done it. Traktor has got stems, but it's just nothing like this. I wish that feature would be added on Rekordbox in 2023. Well, I think it will be. No inside information there, but I think it will be. I'd be more impressed with this in the production studio. I think Serato will probably add this to Serato Studio. They've said it pulls a lot of CPU from your computer. I hope they clear this up before it's out to the public. So to be clear again, you get two options in Serato DJ Pro and presumably in Lite. We haven't tested Lite. If your computer cannot handle live analysis of stems, you click on the settings at the top and you click off analyze stems there, and that will not put stems on unless you put tracks into this folder here called stems. Then it'll analyze them while you're not DJing, right? You can just do it ahead of time in offline mode or whatever. And when it comes to DJing with them, you won't need to use any more CPU, but at the expense of some hard disk space, because it has to store all those stems versions that it has pre-analyzed. So that's how that works. You can get around that with older equipment. And as I said earlier, if you missed it, I think that's one of the really good things about this implementation. It will work with your more old and slow laptops. Which is the fourth stems knob? I only have a 3-band EQ. This doesn't work on the EQ at all. It's worth pointing this out. On this controller here, you've got bass, mid, and treble. Now on some stems implementations, for instance on Algorithm's DJ Pro AI, this little controller here is a controller that's been made for Algorithm's DJ Pro AI. So on Algorithm's DJ Pro AI, which also has stems, neural mix they call it, you get this ability to switch these three knobs here from filter, low and high EQ to, and let me hold it up a bit, probably go out of focus, yeah it will, to drums, melodies and vocals. So you actually get the ability to switch out these, and on some DJ mappings you can use the 4 knobs you have here on like a mixer or whatever to do the same kind of thing with like like for instance a Pro mixer with Algorithm software or Virtual DJ. So what happens then is you can fade in and out the vocals or fade in and out the drums and stuff, but it's not how it works on this. On this it works with just the pads, so you don't have that. They've kept it simpler than that, and I think that's probably the right thing to do, because you know, fading them in and out, I guess it's probably nice, but at the end of the day, you just want to punch this stuff in and out in the mix. So I think that's the right thing that they've done there. It's going to save me so much time, says DJ Easy, in prep, now that I can do all this stuff live. So you've obviously really deep dived into stems beforehand. Well, yes, you know, you can get software that does this. You can analyze ahead of time, and then you can put all that stuff in your DJ software, but this lets you do that live. What would be nice would be cue point stems, says Javier. It would change to the preferred stem at a certain cue point, so you can have a set pre-plan for your acapellas and blends. What a nice idea. You know, Serato has a function called flip, where you can program the way the track moves between cue points and effectively make your own remixes. What if you could have stems flip, so you could literally perform with the stems on and off and program it all, and then have a alternate version of the song that you've kind of chopped up yourself? Something to think about. I mean, they want to keep it simple, I guess, but I'm sure they've talked about this. Which versions of Serato is this available for, says Joe? It's available for Serato DJ Pro 3.0 beta and Serato DJ Lite 3.0 beta. You need to get the beta version, and go to Digital DJ Tips and look at the news piece about this. Well, I've given you a link to that there, and you go download it, and that's the one it's currently working with it. Stan says, I still don't like it. I tried Virtual DJ's stems on a huge sound system and it sounded horrible and robotic. To me it sounds like a 128 bitrate file, so I'm sticking to real acapellas. Yes, it does not sound as good as a real acapella or real stems, but it's for DJing, and generally you're not going to solo these things. You're going to be mixing them with other things. But totally with you there, Stan. Your results may vary, and they do vary depending upon the tracks that you throw into it, and you might not like it, which is fine. Traktor has stems, says Tommy. It doesn't. It has a stems feature, but you need to get special stems files that you can't get. So Traktor stems is dead. However, let's hope that they are watching and that they bring it back with this kind of technology. You just load a normal MP3 here. You don't need anything special, and it does it on the fly. That's what's cool about this, and what's different about Tractor. I will wait for the actual product when it comes out, says Terence. All the bugs should have been worked out by then. We haven't come across any, but fair play. That's what beta versions are all about. So Javier, Joe, thank you for chatting to each other. Nice to see you answering each other's questions there. A few of you saying, you know, you need to prepare with this stuff. I was saying, you're not too sure what it's going to do, but a few of you are making the point that, you know, you wouldn't load a track and analyze it for the first time, hopefully in a set anyway, so you can have all this prepared. That's absolutely fine. Kev says, I'm on Serato DJ Pro. It would be useful if they implement it properly on this, the Roland DJ 707M. I agree, it doesn't work on this. I wish it would. It's the best Serato controller out there. And also I'm waiting for Serato Studio compatibility. Well, I'm sure it's coming. This is a beta version, I have to keep saying. Positive T on Twitch says, it works great for routines, but you've got to test the quality before performing, and I think I agree with you there as well. Doing it on the fly, you've got to be ready to turn it off if it doesn't sound very good, I would say. Do you think this could mean the end, says Raymond, of having to download acapellas and instrumentals? Funnily enough, I've just spent a month building up my acapella library. No, they're going to sound great. This is, you know, it's going to be alongside that kind of stuff. Can I install the beta and still have my current version 2.6 working? Yes, you can have them both alongside each other. I was in Serato Studio in New York, and they opened their laptop, and literally, you know, at the bottom of your laptop, if you're using a Mac, you can have all the current programs. It was just full of different versions of Serato. So yes, you can have as many versions of Serato on your system at the same time as you want. Can I use it with a Numark Party mix? Right, here's what to do if you're wondering whether it's going to work with your controller. It works with some, but not all at the moment. Go and download it. I'll show you once more how to do that. Go and download it from Serato's website. So I'll show you the whole process that I just showed you a minute ago, because if you're new to Serato, you maybe don't have any of this stuff. Go to digitaldjtips.com. Click on the real-time stems separation news piece. Scroll down and click on the link I've given you. That will take you to Serato Stems announcement on their website, and there's a link there to join the public beta. Now, when you join that, you download the software, and it drops you into their public beta forum, which is a private forum, and in there they list things like all the controllers it works with. They talk about the stuff it's coming for, the stuff it doesn't work with. They give you information on mapping it. If it doesn't work with your controller and you want to map it to something, there's a support article there on that. It's a really useful place. Once you've got your gear in front of you and there's something that you feel like you're the only one in the world, that's the place to head, and they'll help you with that, because you won't be the only one in the world, not by any means, I'm sure. So we are talking about this implementation of stems on Serato's latest beta, free to use as a Serato DJ Pro and Lite, and we're at the point where we're talking about it with the community. So if you've just joined us and you want to watch the rest of it and see the demo, see me talk through how it all works, then just hit play on the recording of this from the beginning. Right, so next live question. Can you make your own stems from it for your music production? Well, yes, I suppose you could, but there's probably better software out there to do that. You could put your track onto the decks and then you know, get your stems sorted out here, and then, like, for instance, let's do it. Let's go and get your comments off there and get back to the software. There it is. So if we were on here and we wanted to make an a cappella of this track, for instance, from there, I could turn off everything apart from the, in fact, let's just go back to there, turn off everything apart from the vocals. It's still very quiet. It's annoying me, that. Let's see if we can turn them up down there. So don't be shy, just come and see. Not really, no. We'll get that sorted for next time, folks. Anyway, and just hit record in Serato. You can hit the record button and then record that a cappella, and then you've got a nice loud a cappella taken out. And you could do the same with the drums, I suppose, and the other elements. So yes, you most certainly could. You could do that. But there's other software that does that. There's software you can drag the whole track in and it'll just spit them all out at once and save you having to do that stuff. So I'd say look for other solutions. This is about DJing with them really more than anything else. So lots and lots of people helping out about, will it delete my current Serato? So thank you for doing that. We really are very busy here with comments. So I'm gonna try very hard to pick out questions that haven't been asked and that are different, and then we'll get to you you, I promise you, in the comments if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, the best place to do it later on. So apparently one of the things that's been obvious with other demos is that it's a beta. Sometimes they just don't work and they're completely silent. Well, we haven't found that, but hey, they're going to be silent if there happens to be nothing happening. So, you know, if you chop to the vocals and there's no vocals, so you've got to be careful when you're using them. But lots of you talking about the studio quality acapellas versus this kind of acapellas, and yes, they're not going to sound as good. They're not, but that's not really the idea here. I would say the idea is to give you a function that hasn't been used before in DJ software and let you get the mileage out of it that you will. I certainly wouldn't rip an acapella from here and use it in a production, that's for certain. So hi Philip Tam, by the way, there you go. Someone did get a hello live. So powerful, says Rashid. If your computer's not up to standard, it will tell you, apparently. So you've obviously tested out that, you know, you are going to need a certain power of computer for this to work. I'm sure a 10-year-old laptop might struggle. So apparently on some units, says Jake, you can replace slicer. Apparently on the Rain 1 that is an option. So I'm glad to hear that, because as I say, slicer needs to go away and die, in my opinion. Alex says, it seems to me that algorithms stems is more flexible. Replacing the EQs with stems and applying all of the effects to the individual stems are two features I'm not seeing that I use a lot. Yes, this is simplified. They would have done a lot of tests here to decide what they want to include. It's not that they couldn't include it. I think they've decided what they think most DJs will use most of the time. A few of you saying, I want it to work with Flip. I want it to work with Flip. Flip is the Serato feature where you can pre-record how you want to jump between your cue points and play that as an alternative version. I'm sure that might be coming, but at the moment seems like it's not working with Flip. So how does it work with the Denon DJ MC7000? No idea. That list is in the beta forum, so go join up and have a look there. I haven't had a chance to test it on more than 2 or 3 controllers. As I said, I found out it didn't work on the DJ 707M, which happens to be my favorite controller, so we're just going to have to wait and see whether those get fixed. I think they probably will. You Don't Like My Music is pointing out that minimal techno DJs might well love it. Well, presumably the vocal turn on off won't be much use to minimal techno DJs, but yep, know what you're saying there. So I was cynical until I saw you could remap it to a sampler. It's a shame I use Recordbox, says DJ 808's Big Audio Adventures. Look, the big thing people mess up, in my view, when it comes to this stuff is thinking, they've got that feature and I'm really jealous, or even worse, I'm going to switch. Look, in 10 years' time, all this software is going to have everything. It's all got 99% of the stuff already. And so hold tight. If features take off, if they become genuinely useful, if the community takes to them, they're going to appear in all software. Just take a deep breath and be patient. And as soon as they have all appeared in all software, then, you know, they'll become something that people just expect. DJ Slowbridge says, I assume the stems can't be scratched. Whatever makes you assume that? Let me just do this. You're probably all wondering what the hell's going on there. I'll show you one day. But anyway, we're back to the software. They can indeed be scratched. So let's go back to here. There's the vocal. You probably can't hear it because I don't think it's coming through very well, but I'll turn the speakers up in the room. You'll certainly hear it there. You've never been. You can hear that, can't you? So yes, they do. You can scratch it, fine. You can do. You're manipulating the whole track, not just the individual stems. So you can't like scratch the vocals while the music's playing away. That's not the way it works. But yes, you can. You can scratch. Right. More questions. By the way, if you want to know how this works, what we've got here is I can show you what's on my screen on this laptop by pressing a button. There you go, like that, you see. But what I've done is set it up so that I've got a certain view that shows you one of our cameras, that camera there, and the top bit of the laptop screen. And I've set that up so that when I've got a Serato on the laptop screen, you see them both together like that. Well, actually like that. But if I forget to go back to Serato before pressing that button, you see something mighty strange like the comments or something, because I also have a screen with all the comments on there. It's all your comments coming in live. So if I accidentally press that, you get the comments overlaid on the Serato controller, which is a little bit strange, right? I'm sure you'll agree that's a little bit strange. But anyway, the fun of live video. Right, your questions. I'm curious, says Istvan, to hear James Hype's opinion on this. He's using acapellas quite a lot and he's a Rekordbox guy. If I'm not mistaken, would this be a game changer for him? Well, let's be clear, Rekordbox is software, so unless you're using a laptop, you can't use this on like a setup like over there, for instance, because CDJs don't have it standalone at all. So even if Rekordbox did introduce it, it wouldn't be on CDJs. But yeah, I'm sure James will find this exciting. Let's face it, James has got a knack of making anything sound incredible, so he'd probably find some really cool things that would happen with this stuff. Are you going to be updating the Serato course? It says Vic. We most certainly are, Vic, so don't you worry about that. Gail Coker says, I've been using this since last night and I'm absolutely loving it. So glad you're enjoying that over there on Twitch. Hi, Jai Panade on Twitch. What are the other features of Serato 3? Good question. Don't have a list in front of me. This is a big one. I think it works with a couple more controllers, and they've tidied up the sound quality on Tidal and a few things like that, but this is the big one, trust me. Can I use that controller with a rack-mounted server instead of a laptop for state array of hard drive space? Way beyond me. No idea, mate. So thumbs up to Virtual DJ, says Marcel on YouTube, for being the first. Yes, they were the first. Well, Virtual DJ and DJ Pro AI. They literally released it on the same day a couple of years ago. Any controller that won't work with Serato 3 cannot have this feature, I'm afraid, if you are asking about that. You can't remap the button to enter stems pad mode. So if your controller isn't supported, you have to use the mouse to select stems. It's a bit annoying, says Scratch Gonzo. So I guess what you're saying there is that when we're here and we want to, this button here, in the top corner that I'm clicking on now, apparently you can't map that to a button, so you can't just map to then switch to here. We haven't tried any of the mapping stuff, but thanks for sharing that with us. We will have a play with that and see what we find. Remember, this is a public beta of the Stems 3.0, Serato 3.0 softwares, so there's going to be stuff on it that isn't quite finished. Okay, so let us grab one or two final questions here. Lots of friends here today. Mojax, nice to see you, my friend. I have a Numark NS7 III. Any issues with remapping or MIDI? I'm scared of the firmware issues I've had before. No idea, we just haven't played with those controllers. The best thing you can do is download it and get yourself into that beta forum over on Serato's website, because there's people in there with your controllers, there's Serato people in there, and you'll get individual help with your controllers and stuff there. Lots of you talking about what I said about stems not being the thing that changes DJing forever and means you're never going to use your EQs ever again and all this stuff. And lots of people, you know, now chatting in the comments about things like preparing your music, knowing your music. Preparing and knowing your music are far, far more important than any features on your DJ software, trust me, on that one. So apparently if it's silent, it just takes a second or two for stems to kick in. Presumably that's because it's processing in the background. One thing I didn't like was the fact there seemed to be no progress bar for the stems. So if it was analyzing in the background, I couldn't see a way of knowing that. And presumably that's why sometimes it's quiet when you're trying to press the buttons. So good point there. Thank you for sharing that one, Gail Coker on Twitch. And so I think we're probably done here. We have been live, so no apologies for any little hiccups going on here. And no apologies from Serato or on behalf of them for any hiccups in the software. It is beta software, but you can go and join it now, join the beta now and give it a go for yourself. Head over to the Digital DJ Tips website, find our news piece, click on the Downloading Serato DJ Pro 3.0 button. You won't go to a white page like this, you will go to the Serato page that's just zoned out on me for some reason there. And that will then give you the link to go and say that you're happy to have a beta software and download it for yourself and have a play with it. It's good, it's now in major software. I think it's only a matter of time before this arrives in Tractor and Rekordbox, for instance, and then everyone will have it, and then it'll be really fun because, well, because all the DJs in the world will be able to play with the feature. It is the new stems in Serato DJ Pro and Serato DJ Lite 3.0. Watch the recording of this on these channels and also go over to Digital DJ Tips to read about this if reading is your preferred modality. Meanwhile, from me, Phil, in the studio, get good, get out there, make the moments. I'll see you again very soon. Till next time, bye-bye.